I've actually noticed for the longest time I've been an artist and dealing with beginner artists a problem of visualizing 3D objects. Well, there's a difference between 2D and 3D objects. So today I'm going to highlight what actually goes through an artist's mind, especially a beginner or the one who is starting to know how to draw, on how to visualize from 2D object to a 3-dimensional objects. And it's actually very simple. So I'm going to highlight the problems and how you can actually solve it in a very simple way. So the first thing that happens when you can't actually visualize, visualization comes with cubes, cuboids, cylinders, all 3-dimensional objects. The issue is actually usually not a talent, it's a mix of perception, how you perceive things, and the cognitive load, and also the training gaps. So in terms of the way I'm going to break it down, I hope you gonna understand what I'm talking about. So one thing that goes through your mind is you are seeing symbols, you're not seeing forms. So the first problem is you have to see the form, not a shape in 2D. You have to see the 3-dimensionality. And that goes exactly with angles. And visualizing 3D objects deal with angles most of the time, all the time actually. You have to visualize how the angles is, if it's an angular or an acute. So many beginners, they don't see a cube as a 3D object. They see it as a square with lines or a box shape that you have memorized. So when the angle changes, the memorized symbol collapses. This is a perception, not a drawing problem. The second one is the poor spatial awareness. This is a big problem, right? Visualizing 3D form or 3D objects in space, it requires understanding of depth. It requires understanding of foreshortening, which is a form of perspective, and then understanding orientation. If this is not trained in your mind, the brain struggles to rotate objects mentally. This is why angles feels confusing. So you have to understand how depth works. That is all about perspective. And remember, we have 4 types of perspective. The first, we have linear perspective, then we have atmospheric perspective, we have foreshortening, and then the fourth one, we have the isometric perspective. On linear perspective is where we have the 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspective. I'll share that video, you can go and watch it. I'll share the link in the description. So you have to understand the depth, you have to understand the foreshortening. That's exactly how perspective works. And you have to understand the orientation. That's which angle is not directly where you see, but it's an angular position. That is orientation. Then another thing is you're making too many decisions at once. A beginner is making too many decisions at once, which makes it confusing for you to understand the 2-dimensionality and 3-dimensionality and the way you are supposed to draw it. So when you're drawing a cube, you're supposed to try to observe. You're supposed to measure angles, you're supposed to control the hand, and you're supposed to keep the proportion, and you're also supposed to think in 3-dimensionality. And that is awareness. You have to be aware, you have to be observant, you have to be keen about that. It's a matter of decision problem, and that needs a little bit of awareness and patience. You have to be patient in terms of observing and being aware of what is going on through these angles, the front angle and the sided angle. So you don't have to overload. When you're making too many decisions at once, it's an overload. If you overload your brain will freeze, and you're not able to see the angular direction or the angular plane that the object has been set around you. Number 4, you have the impatient problem. This is an impatient where you are too fast. You skip seeing a stage, and this will affect how you perceive it, how you visualize 3-dimensional objects. Yeah, so many beginners, they rush to draw, they skip looking long enough. You're supposed to analyze. That's what art is all about. You analyze, you observe, and when you're a beginner, that's the first step for you to start analyzing every object. 3-dimensionality, 2-dimensionality, elements and principles of art in any artwork. So that's the beginning of analysis, and it needs a lot of patience from you. So don't just sit with the object. You have to observe it, you have to analyze it. Visualization doesn't come from speed. It comes from slow looking. You have to look and analyze very slowly. Number 5, we have fear of being wrong. This is one silent but powerful. Don't fear being wrong, because the one mistake that you make is a lesson that you have to apply on your next project or your next drawing so that it solves it. So if you are scared of being wrong, maybe wrong angles, ugly drawings, erasing too much. You stop experimenting. That limits your potential. So it will stop you experimenting and visualization, which requires a lot of experimentation. You should know that visualization requires a lot of experimentation. So don't fear being wrong. Do that wrong thing, then correct it and do it the right way. Seek a problem and solve it. So actually the solution to this, so I'm demonstrating this, you have to think in planes, not outlines. Instead of drawing lines, you have to train your brain to see the top plane, see the side plane, and to see also the front plane. So for example, a cube has 3 rectangles in space, a cylinder, 2 ellipses, and a curved side plane. So this shifts brain from 2D to 3D thinking. And then number 2, you can observe a transparent drawing. You draw through forms, you complete hidden edges, and you also draw full ellipses, which builds the spatial memory. And also you have to practice the angle isolation exercise, which is very effective. Instead of drawing a whole cube, draw only one angle. Compare it to the vertical and the horizontal, and then ask yourself, is it steeper, is it flatter? It will actually speed up how you view the 3-dimensionality of angles when you're drawing 3D forms. Angles become relationships, not guesses. So, and then another one you have to rotate the rotate the object, like physically. Before drawing, you just rotate, take an object, a physical object like a box or a cylinder, a tissue. There's something that is shaped with that format. Then you rotate it and then you study it. So then you pause at one position and try to study the planes, the front plane, top plane, all the planes. Then you just observe. Observation is the key actually. You observe, take your time to observe. That will improve your awareness on things and how they work. Maybe you can take maybe 30 to 60 seconds to observe and think. It's about thinking. Don't be impatient. Be very patient on this. Then you have to try something. You don't just observe. You have to keep practicing. Practice this plane, that plane, top plane. When you practice, even if you make a mistake, you will try to improve it next time. So, and then you ask yourself if your intuition was right. So this is a cool demonstration of how to visualize 3-dimensional objects from 2-dimensional objects. So you don't draw what you see, but you draw what you understand. You have to understand an object first before you start drawing it. That's a very important statement that you have to keep it in mind for you and your progress as an artist. Otherwise, I wish you all the best in your artistic journey, and I hope to bring you more lessons on this. And I'm already here to train you how to draw anything. It's about drawing anything. This is a pure masterclass. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Cheers.